Hello, welcome. Today I've got Ian McDonough of Blackbird. You've just seen a specially commissioned report from Ian and Blackbird. Ian, having just seen that video, the specially commissioned report, it's scary stuff, right? I mean, but why now and why Blackbird?
Hi, Peter. Well, we're looking to drive some urgency into this situation. We just had a fantastic panel there from a number of contributors, probably most notably Sky, who've been at this for a very long time. But Sky, although it's a big company, they're not the market. They're not the entire market. We want to drive some urgency right across the business, right across the industry. This is the most important issue that we face in the world today, and we want to be a part of making it a priority.
Right, yeah. I mean, it was a fantastic session, and certainly your video there kind of was, as I say, pretty scary stuff. Call to action, probably, but clearly it can be construed, being cynical here for a minute, that a cloud native solution provider, it's very much in your own interest as a supplier to produce such a report. I mean, what would you say to those who would level that criticism at this report, that it's actually not impartial?
I mean, we've involved a third-party consultancy called Green Element, actually, and again, it was covered in the previous panel that there aren't many standardizations across the industry yet, and although there are carbon calculators, there aren't carbon calculators for every part of the supply chain as yet. At least not the ones that we've had, but not we've seen. So we developed with Green Element a carbon calculator that calculates it for our part of the industry. And so we've used different metrics within the supply chain. So the power that's used to power the equipment, the kit, the power that's used to transmit the data, the power that's used to move us around and travel, and also the power that's used to manufacture the kit in the first place. So some workflows require much more kit than others. So we think we've been quite conservative in our estimations, and we've always erred on the side of being conservative, to make sure that we're not accused of that kind of bias, Peter. So yeah, I think it's very fair.
Okay, good. So it's just not a piece of green propaganda to support your own company's solutions. There's more to it than that. So tell us how, you were talking about the company you work with. What's their credentials, and do you know more about the methodology they used?
Yeah, so Green Element have been in the industry for 20 years. They worked a lot with the advertising industry, and have developed a kite mark around green production in advertising. And what they've come back with is that when you look at traditional NLE on-premise systems, and you look at the traditional, let's call them cloud systems, cloud-based systems versus cloud native, the differences are quite stark. So Blackbird being a cloud native solution versus an on-premise, it's 91% more efficient than an on-premise system. And if you look at the cloud-based systems, then we're up to 75% more efficient than those two. So it is quite stark, the differences.
I get that. So obviously the integrity of the report is not in doubt, and kind of supported very much the previous session, and as you say, at the moment, no standards, no ways of standardizing the measurement of this, but we certainly need this call to action. One thing we hear a lot about, Ian, is the cost of the cloud, particularly with the big public cloud providers, and we heard briefly there how is it really in our power to change this? But we hear a lot about the cost of ingress and egress of files and data, for example, with remote editing. And although it's fair to say, wouldn't there be greater adoption if the business economics were more flexible? I understand that a cloud native solution might get around that, but generally speaking, for it to be adopted industry wide, don't we need to address the big guys who provide these cloud services?
I think that's right, Peter. We work with a lot of public cloud companies, and at the end of the day, the public cloud companies are selling power, bandwidth, compute power, and processing. and that's not always, I'm using my words very gently here, not always aligned with the carbon reduction program. And there's better ways, we feel, of incentivizing their sales teams or incentivizing themselves, we think, which is to sell the technical smarts, the technical innovation that can be built around a carbon efficient solution, rather than one that just is brute force. Because a lot of what it is now that we regard as cloud is literally putting high res into the cloud with brute force. We equate it to putting wings on a train, and trying to force it into the air. It is not particularly efficient.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, it's somewhere, wherever there's these huge data centers, huge computing centers, which can't be particularly green themselves. So you would think that the lighter touch in terms of how we use the cloud, and also, as I go back to the business economics, which at the moment prevents a more serious uptake across the whole gamut of people with different technologies and maybe less sophisticated technologies that could just use it in a more cost-effective way. If the pressure was placed on the public cloud providers to reduce the costs of the use of their products.
That's right, Peter. We have a huge amount of talent in our industry, whether it's in creative talent or technical talent, that we need to leverage in that direction, so that we're selling that talent and that innovation, rather than selling the more prosaic storage capacity or bandwidth capacity, which doesn't really play well to that talent. There are technologies that exist today that, if leveraged correctly, could have an immediate and large positive impact. But that's not enough. We still need to go further, and we need to innovate further around this to make sure that what we see as an emergency is properly addressed, and addressed quickly. And I think the other thing to add there really is that, as was mentioned on the previous panel, there needs to be legislation, not just UK legislation, but there needs to be some kind of guidance, across the industry, globally across the industry, to meet these targets. We're a UK company, but we deal a lot with the US, and we feel from our position that this is not taken seriously. It's not taken anywhere near seriously enough, and I think 5 years of leadership in the opposite direction to this issue has caused some damage. So we're really looking for some kind of targets and standardization right across the industry.
So you definitely point to the fact that the US, to some degree, is way behind this initiative now, after a number of years of denial.
I think there's some good initiatives over there. I don't want to be the doomsayer. I think there's some great initiatives and some fantastic companies in the space. I think the bringing in carbon neutrality is to be welcomed. I'm not saying that carbon neutrality is the answer, though, because at the end of the day, carbon neutrality is a bit like taking a painkiller. It's better not to have the pain than to take the painkiller. It's better not to produce the carbon than to have to offset it somewhere else.
Yeah, very, very, very wise statement. I think, there's been a lot of debate about companies greenwashing, basically taking action that's pretty superficial at the very best. To actually deal with the issues, it's got to be profound, isn't it? It's got to be adopted. It's got to be industry wide. And I guess, these kind of reports they're producing, and we've heard Singular Live talk about another report soon. These have got to start to make a difference. I think the whole industry has to get behind it. Do you think that's what will make the needle move? Is that the only thing that will make this happen?
I think there are some fantastic initiatives. I think that what Albert and BAFTA are doing is tremendous, and as I said earlier, what Sky is doing is tremendous. And there are many others that are moving this style. But until we properly collaborate as an industry, as I said, across the globe, and move this in the right direction, then it's going to be hard. We look at the UK industry particularly and say, look, if there was a 25% reduction in just the public service broadcasters in the UK, then there'll be 200,000 meters squared of sea ice saved every year. That's a lot, and we need to make people aware that that's the kind of scale that we're dealing with, and that's just the UK. If you can imagine that across the US and across Asia, it's enormous. It really is an enormous problem.
Yeah, I mean, in these times where viewing video numbers are just growing exponentially, the cost of viewing video seems to be really unknown, and people generally unaware. And I think there does need to be a campaign for public perception on this, while still ensuring that our industry thrives and grows. And it's interesting we talk about Albert, because I can remember 5 years ago we were talking with Albert when it was in its early stages, and we tried to get our members and the industry in general involved with us on this, and we really didn't get much traction. And it might be now that the thing is a bit cynical here, but this was also mentioned in the panel before. It might be now where suppliers' customers are starting to say, if you are not green, if you don't comply, we won't buy from you. It kind of needs an economic boost as well. It sounds kind of a bit cynical, but we have to get all of those factors aligned, don't we?
I think I would agree with you personally. I think that if you tax or punish people where they're doing something bad, then they generally change their behavior. So yeah, I do agree with that, and I think that it's a fairly transparent way of looking at the industry, or any industry actually, and making that change.
Yes. So where would you see now the future for the Green Initiative? What are the next steps? I mean, what will Blackbird be doing, and how would that be spread across the whole industry?
Well, we're very much going to take this to the next stage. There's definitely going to be a part 2 to our report, which will we think start to look at targets and standardization where we can. We'll try and work with all the industry bodies that would want to work with us. And I think that's, as we mentioned, I think also not just in the UK but also in the US, and see where we can drive some action there as well. We're just a small company. So we're looking to build bridges. We're not looking to do this all on our own, but looking to make the industry aware of the impact that we're having. I mean, we're a Wimbledon-based company, so we're just from small part of London, but famous for one thing. We're famous for tennis. If you think about the tennis, the 2-week tennis fortnight, Wimbledon fortnight, just the video editing part of that, on using traditional NLEs, just the video editing would account for 2 tennis courts of sea ice being lost, 2 tennis courts of surface area. So we'll do what we can. We're only a small part of the business, but if we can bang the drum and raise awareness, take a leadership position, and drive some urgency, then that's a great start.
Yeah. So the call to action really is for all of your competitors and all of the industry. So should we be saying here and now, this is some initiative that the IABM should be promoting as well, and talking to our other industry partners? Is this a way of getting it more mobilized?
Absolutely, Peter. Please, yes, please. We would love your backing on it. I mean, already in the report we've had the backing from some of our biggest partners and customers. Sky News Arabia, Tata Communications, and IMG have all supported this report and made changes. So we want to be a part of other companies' sustainability programs and help them bring down their carbon footprint. But we're just a small part of it, a small cog in a much larger machine. The impact that video editing has is probably about 1/10 of the entire video production. So there's plenty more suppliers and parts of the supply chain that we want to work with.
Okay. So right here and now, I guess we should agree we do that. We reach out to our partners. We certainly, as was said before, support the Albert initiative, and hopefully we can take this to the next stage.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate your support, and we'll build those bridges and get collaboration across the industry, and we'll hopefully address this quickly. That's what needs to happen. Needs to be some urgency in it.
Well, thank you, Ian. Thank you for your leading position on this, and it's, as I say, fascinating. I'm sure that report's available for everybody. We can certainly make it available on the website after this event. And just it's great to see people taking responsibility in our industry for the future of the world. Let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the report can be downloaded from our website. It's blackbird.video. And yeah, absolutely, we'll love to have it on your site as well, Peter. Thank you very much.
All right, but thank you. Thanks for your time today.